Yes, ready. This is a dictation at the rate of 100 words per minute. This is a passage of 1000 words, so you can prepare for a SSC examination as well. Okay, start. Sir, last year we had a very sad experience. I myself went to Bihar and I had consultations with the Bihar government. The Bihar government wanted us to set up over 150 centers for the purchase of wheat if we take over the wheat trade. We set up all this machinery because we were very sincere and we wanted to play a very effective role in the market operations. When we set up these centers, to our surprise, we found that nobody was coming to the market. Then we were told that there was no system of bringing the marketable surpluses to the markets. Farmer sells it in the village itself. There are no regular markets. Therefore, there are different set of situations. I would sincerely submit for the consideration of the honorable member that if monopoly procurement meant evolving a system whereby substantial monopoly marketable surpluses come to the public sector agencies, I have no quarrel with them. But if it means prohibiting entirely even sales of produce in the villages, it means in substance introducing total rationing in the country, not only in urban areas but also in villages. That means government will have to take the responsibility of distributing food grains to the entire population of the country, which is not a very easy proposition. That means government will have to buy at a very high level of price if it is monopoly procurement. But if it means that the price is maintained at a low level, then again there will be a number of difficulties. Then producers will be dissatisfied and they will not cooperate. A number of illegal transactions will take place. It will be difficult to control millions of producers and tell them, here is the law, you have no freedom to sell. It is all right on paper, but in practice, who is going to implement it? Therefore, we should really look at the problem not from the theoretical angle but look into the practical implications. We should understand the problem in its implications. For instance, there are countries in the world where some sort of monopoly procurement is there, but the situations are different. Take the instance of Canada. The Canadian Wheat Board purchases all the wheat produced in the country. There is total monopoly as far as wheat purchases are concerned. But the context is different. Canada is a surplus producer of wheat and it is an exporting country. If the government does not intervene, prices will slump down and producers will suffer. Therefore, the government is intervening in the interests of the production and in the interests of protecting the producers. In Australia also it is the same thing. It is an exporting country. If the government does not intervene, prices are likely to come down very much and the producer is likely to suffer. production is likely to suffer and their exports are likely to suffer. That sort of situation does not exist in India, where situation is different. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I think the importance of my resolution has been accepted on all hands, and from the way in which interest has shown from the discussion on it, I am convinced it is the subject of prime importance in the country today. Para, while there has been by and large support to the recommendations that I have made, namely monopoly procurement of essential commodities, there have been few voices of some adverse comments. Therefore, I would like to deal with those a little before I go on to the subject matter of the resolution and the need for complying with it. Mr. Rastogi mentioned during the discussion that he was apprehensive that if monopoly procurement is resorted to, it will take away the element of competition, and it is the element of competition which is inherent in free trade, in laissez-faire policy, to which he attaches so much importance that this resolution, in his opinion, should not be accepted. I am afraid what Shri Rastogi ji has said and those who subscribe to his way of thinking, his ethos, his philosophy on such question will lead to sure disaster, because the only example which Rastogi ji gave us, say of an auto driver during the old days. He used to stand near Connaught Circus, and for 1 rupee the auto man could take him to any distance he liked. Para, I am afraid we are living in a world far different from what it was, say, 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Therefore, I am afraid Rastogi ji's approach is rather obscurantist, and it is a little difficult to swallow it, and I can suggest that he should ponder over it to realize that but for the fact that government had some reserves, it would not have been possible to meet the overwhelming situation which the country had to face during the drought. If Rastogi ji thinks that because of the free trade, prices would come down to a normal level, I would only quote to him the example of those commodities which are not under control. It is only wheat which was intended to be brought under control, which was intended to be procured in a monopolistic manner, and it was intended to be distributed through a government machinery. Para, the other commodities, their prices were hiked, the commodities were hoarded, public institutions were exploited with their money for hoarding, and veritable disaster on the verge of which the country had to live so long was created. Therefore, the machinery under private agencies for the distribution and procurement can under no circumstance either be encouraged or allowed. The other comment made was by my friend of DMK. He seems to think that monopolistic procurement and distribution would lead to disruption, and he also said that there was no confidence in the agencies dealing with the procurement and distribution of food grains. I personally think that this is not a question of party politics. This is a very, very basic question of requirement. Stop and over.